Helluva has officially broken the record for a show with the most first episodes, and I'm not entirely sure as to why. Did we really need another pilot for a show that's already running? I can't think of a reason as to why we would, but that aside, is Mission Zero a good pilot? Well, it definitely works better as one for Helluva Boss. Characters changed quite drastically between OG pilot and show. From voice to personality to behavior, our first look at characters was blurry. Mission Zero, on the other hand, has the power of hindsight, which means they are much more in line of what we'd expect. And the same goes for the overall style. Some aspects, though, are just straight up better. I'm a bit shocked to say this, but one of them are the jokes. First time watching, some got a good laugh out of me, but that was mostly it yet. Then I noticed that the woman IMP wants over is Pop, and the one chasing them is Brandon Rogers, which made a joke I already enjoyed even better. Just like one of the victims in Millie's fantasy being the child from the original pilot. Mission Zero actually gets even better on rewatch, and another thing that's undeniably better is the animation. I don't think we've ever seen the imps move so fluently and be this expressive. Love the glowing eyes, by the way. Yet it could be as gorgeous as I am and it would still be entirely irrelevant if the story isn't on the same level. So, does Mission Zero have a good story? Well, what story? Not a lot happens, as that's just not what a pilot does. A pilot portrays what a show will be like. It ain't focused on telling a story of its own, it gives you an overview of what to expect from future ones. The story side of things proves that this can be done while at least having some rudimentary little development going on, but for the most part, Mission Zero feels more like it's working on completing a checklist of information it needs to convey. This is what demons are actually like, this is what hell is like, this is what IMP is like, these are the characters, this is the humor, etc, etc. Because a pilot isn't an episode. It's a pitch. It exists to sell you a story. It gives you an overview to get you hooked and want to see more content. But the sheer amount of things needing introduction means that quantity is more important than quality. There just isn't enough time to introduce every new thing in a clever or witty way, which means it resorts to what Helluva and Has-Been already struggle with. It just straight up tells you. The description of how demons live especially is literally Blitz explaining it in voiceover, which feels incredibly unnatural. This simply isn't how the show would introduce things if it didn't feel forced to, which means our introduction to it is worse than it would have been in a normal episode. And does a new viewer even need to know that? If this were a normal pilot and the show needs to get picked up, with this being the only piece of content which can say it, yeah. But that just isn't the case here. We don't need to know it this early on, so we get a boring, unnatural info dump of something that shouldn't have been introduced in the first place. No matter if Mission Zero is a good pilot or not, and for the record, I did enjoy it. It ain't amazing, but it does have great moments. We just didn't need this. Unless you prefer to read a Wikipedia article of a show before watching its first episode, this isn't a good way to start watching the show, and those who are already watching it don't need it either. If they had treated this as a retrospective zeroth episode to better reflect how the show will develop in season 2, I probably would have disagreed with that being a good idea, but I absolutely would have understood the reasoning and intention behind it. But another pilot is entirely pointless. What isn't pointless though is leaving a like and subscribing, as YouTube just introduced a new AI age restriction program which turns 2/3 of my videos completely invisible. So please, the channel really needs your help right now.